All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you present here and who have joined us from all parts of this world for this number properties webinar that we have for today's session. Today. Okay. Before I begin anything else, I'm just going to bring out one poll of yes and no. If you can hear me clearly, please mark a yes in the poll. If the audio is 100% clear, can you please mark a yes? That is perfect. All right. Thank you for all of your answers, guys. What I'll do is I'll hide the poll over here and let me clear all the answers. Okay, so yes, welcome to this session. I am Atre Roy. I would be your main host for today's session. With me, I have Vipul. We'll go to that in a bit of time over here, like in a minute or so. So in today's number property session, and this number property session is very application-oriented session. It's a very heavily attended session as well. And since it's both application oriented and heavily attended session, we wanted you to go through some concepts before we move on and make you solve some questions. Now, we are already sent these content to you in your mail app. I hope that you have checked all this out. In case you have not checked it out, I'd request all of you to go check that out after the session is done. To check out all those videos, you can simply log into your e-GMAT account, go to number properties, and that will help you move into these files. And it's a very nice experience that we'll be getting over there, a complete learning package that we have for you in your free trial account. Okay, so with that, let me hide out the poll over here. I hope all of you would see the videos and then make the learning complete. Then now let's move on to the next upcoming webinars. Now we at e-GMAT, strive for your success all throughout the year, and that is the reason we conduct webinars every Sundays and every Saturdays and Sundays, all weekends. The next Saturday, that is July 24th, 7 a.m. PST, same time, we have a GMAT reading comprehension webinar. Now, in this webinar, we are going to talk about reading strategies and to make sure that you understand RCs better, that you comprehend RCs better, and your score does not plateau. If you are someone whose score has plateaued in RC section, then attend the webinar. We show you what are the different keyword approaches through which you get better at reading comprehension. The next day, that is on Sunday, July 25th, we have a GMAT Algebra webinar. In this webinar, we are going to master the most challenging questions in inequalities and absolute values. Now, two very, very important areas and also key areas. And over the years, we have seen that in algebra, if I were to choose two topics in which students falter a lot, these are the two topics. So if you're someone who's not being able to solve inequalities questions, or if you want to understand how to solve algebra questions within 2 minutes with 100% accuracy, do register for this webinar. Timing for the same webinar remains same, that's 7 a.m. PST or 7:30 p.m. IST. Now, to register for both these webinars, simply click on the register now button. That will help you. That will get you to the registration page where from you can register for these two webinars. Then we also have a very special event this week. That's on 21st of July, 8 p.m. IST. That's 7:30 a.m. PST. In this session, this is actually a product launch event, and we are launching Quant 2.0 completely. Now, if any of you have not, gone through the Quant 2.0 course, I'll recommend all of you to just have a look, join in the session to understand how do you make sure that your scores are in that Q49 or above range, right? So please register for this webinar. Again, to register for this one, you can click on the Get Your Session Pass that you can see over here. That will take you to the page for which you can register for this webinar. With that, let me hide out this poll and this one as well. So I have two questions primarily. The first question is, when do you plan to take the GMAT? Let's take 5 to 6 seconds. Make sure that you people mark the answer for this question, and let me get you the second poll. So the second poll that I want you people to answer is, what is your target GMAT score? So let's take around 5 to 10 seconds, fill out both these polls over here. All right, I'm going to end the poll. Thank you for all of your answers. So I'm going to end the poll. Okay, so when you plan to take the GMAT, so I can see that almost 1/3 have not taken a date yet, a fair share between the other 4 options over here. So whether you belong to the next 15 days category or a category where you have not taken a date yet, through this webinar, I'll help you understand how to get better in GMAT number properties. The second poll now about your target GMAT score. I'm very, very happy that almost 70% of you tell me that you either want to target a 730 or higher, which is a great target score. So all the best for that. And for you people, it's very, very important to focus on the learnings that we would be, trying to implant, we'll try to help you out with these over here in this session. With that, let's move ahead to the session presentation. I'll just again bring in the yes no poll very, very quickly. If you can see my screen, just mark a yes very quickly, and then I'll go into the logistics of the session. It'll be a black presentation screen written number properties 2 on it. If you can see the screen, please mark a yes. For people at whose end the screen has not loaded yet, it typically takes you somewhere around 5 to 10 seconds. So just give it that time. It will load at your end as well. All right, that is perfect. I'm going to end the poll and I am going to clear all the answers. Now, so what I'll do over here is I'll just explain the logistics for today's session. Now, so basically what you can see in the right hand side of your screen is you see a short answer poll, right? So any question that I ask during the session, please make sure you answer in the short answer poll. That way we converse and the session is not it's not a monologue. It's completely something that's very, very interactive over here. You can also see a Q&A pod at the bottom of your screen. Now here, if you have any questions around the session or something on the question or the solution, anything that you have, please put your questions in the Q&A pod, where Vipul, who's supporting me for today's session, would help you out with your answers. Right? So let's get started, and let me very, very quickly take my pen and hide out the Pally over here. All right, perfect. So let's get started. And as I told you, we will be trying to solve questions. Since this is a very application-based webinar, we are going to solve good questions, right? And I'm also going to help you understand how do you solve questions with a unified structured approach. That's the aim for this webinar. As I told you, I'm Akshay Roy. I'll be your primary host for today's session. Joining me is Vipul. We both are GMAT experts here at e-GMAT. With that, let's move ahead to the next part over here. Now, one very, very important thing is that this entire session is created out of the Quant 2.0 course that we have over here, which essentially is a complete solution for all your quant problems, to be very, very honest. Now, if you have not checked that out, I'll recommend all of you to check that out. We have some great success stories, and the success stories are backed up by the most number of Q49s plus scores with respect to everyone else in the segment, and most number of reviews with respect to everyone else in the segment. You can see that the success rate that we deliver is almost 4 times than other players over here. So that is the reason I wanted to show you this, because it's a successful tried out method. I want you to imbibe the learnings that we have for today's session. With that, let's discuss how would we progress in the session and the purpose for the session. So 2 things. I want you to understand that if you want to master GMAT Quant, if you want to ace GMAT Quant, there are only 2 ways in which you can do that. Or rather 2 things, 1 single way in which you can do that. The first thing is you have to make sure that your understanding of basics is perfectly clear. You have 200% clarity on all the concepts that are tested on the GMAT. The second thing is that a structured approach is very, very important to solving GMAT questions, and we will both see both of these today in this session as well. Okay, so how would we progress in the sessions? I'll be giving you 3 questions over here. All the 3 questions that we would be solving are 700 plus level questions. I don't want you to, I just want you to mark your answers. We'll not discuss the solutions for these questions right now. Once this is done, we'll move on to a warm-up section where we have 5 questions, and all these questions are around that 600 level. Post that, we'll move out to some problem-solving questions. I have 3 questions from problem-solving. The level of difficulty for these questions are around that 650 to 700 level. Then some data, again, problem-solving questions around that 700 or plus level. Again, 4 questions on that front. And lastly, the 3 questions that we started off with will solve that again to check that the learning that we get from these 12 questions, with that learning, can we now solve 700 plus level questions. So the accuracy improvement from this first group of questions to the same group of questions at the end would determine the success for this session, right? So yeah, another thing over here is I don't want to time you guys for the session. So what I'll do is uh, I'll give out a poll very quickly. Just give me one moment and explain how would we work around this poll, right? So let me clear all the answers in the poll, reopen the poll, and bring it out over here. Let me very quickly also decrease the size. All right, let me have the poll, stop broadcasting the results. So for today's session, I am not going to time yourself, and that goes on for all sessions that we take, right? So what is the timing criteria over here? I want all of you to mark still solving that you can see over the poll over here, right? Now, when 80% of you who have marked still solving change their answer choice to anything else apart from still solving, that is when I call time. So I don't time yourself. Your average speed would be the speed for today's session, right? So that's what we are going to follow. Now I can only see 15 people marking still solving. So to make this session a success, I want you people to be a bit proactive, that way we get to questions faster and it's much, much more interesting than the normal method. Okay, so I have 40 people, I have 88 students, 90 students. Let's take this number to 50. I have 40 people. Let's get 50 people mark as still solving, and then let me show you the first question. All right, perfect. So I have 50 people with that. Okay, just one more moment, guys. Just 1 second. Just a moment over here. Let me very quickly clear all the answers to you and this. I'm sorry, I put out the wrong poll over here. Sorry for that. Can you please mark us still solving again over here? I'm very sorry for that. I actually put the warm-up question poll. Let's very quickly get to the still solving piece over here. All right, perfect. So with that, I'll bring in the first question. Remember, these are data sufficiency questions of the levels of 700 plus. I'll bring in the first question, question number 8 here on your screen. All the best for this one, guys. All right, last 5 seconds to mark the answer for this question, guys. Last 5 seconds. If you have not marked the answer, please do so. 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right, I'm going to end the poll, and I'm not going to broadcast the results over here because that way, that will bias your answers, right, towards the end, because we are going to solve this question again with the learning that we'll be getting through the 12 questions that I have for you in the session. So, okay, that was question number 8 for you. Let me bring in question number 9's poll. Can you very quickly please click on still solving? I'll give you question number 9. Again, please understand that we are not going to solve these 3 questions, question 8, 9, and 10. We are going to solve these questions at the end of the session because that way we are going to check whether the learning for you has been complete or not. Okay, how much still solving? So let me give you question number 9. All the best for this one, guys. All right, last 10 seconds to mark your answer, guys. If you have not marked the answer, request all of you to please mark your answers. 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll. And again, we're not going to discuss the answer right now. We are going to discuss the answer after we are done with the next question and also at the end of the session, right? Where we are going to solve all these 3 questions again. So I'm gonna bring the poll for question number 10. Here is the poll. Can you please mark still solving, and let's now move to question number 10. I have 46. I need 4 more people to reach 50. 48, 2 more, 49, 50. Perfect. Okay, thank you guys. This is question number 10. All the best for this one. All right, last 10 seconds to mark your answer for this question, guys. Let's take 10, let's take 5 more seconds. That's it. I'll call time. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so I'm gonna end the poll, and we're not going to see the results right now. I'm gonna hide the poll over here. Okay, now based on your experience on the three questions, tell me how were these three questions, guys? I've opened the short answer poll that you can see towards the right hand side of your screen. Please mark your answer over here. What do you feel about these three questions? Challenging, okay. Time consuming. Question 10 is tough, okay. Now I doubt my quant skills. No, do not do that. We're going to solve these questions again at the end, and trust me, you'll have much more confidence. Very easy. Okay, that's good to hear, because all these three questions are above that 700 level. So if you're finding them easy, then you are at a good level in quant prep. First one appeared too easy, so screw that up. Okay, tricky. If you have concepts clear, it's a cakewalk. Yes, absolutely correct. So what I'm going to tell about these three questions is, guys, first, it's not that difficult. These questions are not that difficult. Once we are done with those 12 questions that I'm talking about, we're again going to solve these three questions, and then we'll see that how difficult are these questions in in reality, right? Okay, so with that, setting that context right there, let me now end the poll. Thank you for all of your answers. I'm gonna clear all the answers, and we are now going to move ahead. We're now going to move ahead to the warm-up section. In this warm-up section, I have, I guess, 5 questions for all of you, and these are basic questions on divisibility and remainders. And in this question, through these questions, we are going to have a very good concept recap of divisibility and remainders over here, right? So with that, let me very, very quickly give you the poll. And this time I've given the right, this time I will give you the right poll over here. Just give me one moment. I'll need to shift this a bit down, and yes. So can you please mark us still solving, guys? Let's get to 50 people marking us still solving, and then I'll be giving you the first warm question. You can see the poll already over here, right? So take 2 seconds, mark still solving very, very quickly. I can only see 16 people have marked us still solving. Let's take this number to 50. Okay, I hope you can see my poll. You see the poll, right? Because I'm not getting your responses. Guys, very quickly, please mark us still solving. This is for question number 1 in the warm-up section. I only have 26 people. Let's take this number to 50, and then I'll give you the first warm-up question. All right, perfect. So now let's move ahead, and let me give you the first warm-up question. Okay, all the best for this one, guys. All right, another 5 seconds. 5 very quick seconds. 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. So 71% if you tell me that the answer for this question is choice B, 18% if you tell me it is choice A, and only one candidate for choice C. Now let's read the question and understand what is the question asking us. Now Z is a 3-digit number whose digits are consecutive numbers in increasing order. We need to find the relationship between Z and the divisibility of 3. Now I am going to open the short answer poll real quick. I want you people to tell me, when is a number divisible by 3? Can you please help me out with this answer? When is a number divisible by 3? In the short answer poll, please. when the sum of the digits is divisible by 3, right? Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So I have a 3-digit number z whose digits are consecutive numbers. So if I assume that the first digit of this number z is equal to x, the second digit has to be x plus 1, the third digit has to be x plus 2. Now, what are the sum of these 3 digits? What's the sum of these 3 digits? It's x plus 1 plus x plus 2. That comes out to be 3x plus 3, which is equal to 3 times x plus 1. So 3 times some number, right? So this is a multiple of 3. 3 times some number means a multiple of 3. Now, since it's a multiple of 3, we can for sure say that it's always divisible by 3. And hence, the answer for this question is choice B. Now, people who mark choice A as the answer, I want all of you to tell me, where did you go wrong? Because I have a fair idea. I just want to confirm that idea with your answers. People who have marked choice A, I can see 12 people marking choice A. Where did you go wrong? Let's get the answers very quickly, and post that we'll move on to the second question. Still waiting for some answers, guys. People have marked choice A. What went wrong? Where did you falter? Can you please help me out with that? You can post your answer in the short answer poll. Didn't know the divisibility rule of 3. Okay. So, okay, one concept gap. So I want you people to know the divisibility rule of all numbers from 1. Again, 1 doesn't have any divisibility rule, right? So from 2 to, I would say, 12 or 15. So that's going to help. Not 13, but yes, some numbers like 8, 4, 5, 6, then 11. All these divisibility rules are very, very important. So please keep them in mind. Right, so that is there. Can we apply even odd rule in this question? I am not sure. I don't think so. I'm not sure. We cannot apply the even odd rule. There's this thing that you can take cases, but again, taking cases makes the question go wrong. You might falter at some place, right? So I don't want you to do that. Right? Okay. Felt the always never question are really the right answer. I got it. Okay. With that, let me move on to the next question. I'll clear the answers, reopen the poll very quickly. Please mark us still solving. I'll bring in the second question to all of you. I have 38 people. Let's get to 50, guys. A bit proactiveness, that will make things very smooth for both of us. Perfect. Thanks a lot. All right, let's move on to question number 2. All the best for this one, guys. All right, last 5 seconds for this question. If you have not marked the answer, please do so. 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, I'm going to end the poll, broadcast research. So what I can see over here is 48% of you marked choice A, 43% of you marked choice C. All right. Now, so what is the question asking us? Z is a 4-digit number whose digits are consecutive numbers. I need to establish a relationship between Z and the divisibility of 4. Very quickly, I'm going to reopen the short answer poll. Guys, very quickly tell me, what is the divisibility rule of 4? What is the divisibility rule of 4? Very, very quickly. The last two digits should be divisible by 4, right? I have to look for the last two digits. Okay, so can I use the example of x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3? Can I use that? Let me bring in the yes no poll. Tell me a yes if I can use that. Can I use the example of x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3? Okay, very interesting. It's almost a 2:3 relationship that I can see. 40-60 right now. Okay, I'm gonna end the poll. Thank you for all of your answers. So it's a 40-60 right now. Okay, so understand. I do not know the value of x, right? So I don't know the value of x plus 2, which is the second last digit, and x plus 3, which is the last digit. Depending upon the values of x, the numbers can change. So the concept or the approach to this question, if I take x plus 1, is not correct. It's an incorrect approach, right? So what other way do I have to solve the same question? Next, there can be two possibilities. The number can either be an odd number or the number can be an even number. So let's say z is an odd number. If z is an odd number, then the number is no way divisible by 4, right? So from this I can say that z is not divisible by 4 if z is odd. Okay, if z is even, then there can be two possible cases. The last two digits may be divisible by 4. For example, the number 3456. The last two digits may not be divisible by 4. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can see some cases where it's divisible, some cases where it's not divisible. So then, if I were to choose answers, let's go with let's go from the bottom, right? So z is not divisible by 4. Is that correct? No, that's not correct, because we are seeing some numbers where z is divisible by 4. Z is always divisible by 4. Again, is this correct? Not, right? Because z can be odd, for which it's not divisible by 4, or z can be 1, 2, 3, 4, for which it's not divisible by 4. So even this is not correct. Z may be divisible by 4 essentially means there are some cases which are divisible, there are some cases which are not divisible, something very similar to what we had found in the solution. So this is the approach for this question. So two things of learning over here. One is that the last two digits has to be divisible by 4 to make sure the number is divisible by 4. The second and the most important thing is, in case you don't have the values of x, you cannot use the same approach that we used in the last question in this question, because the divisibility rules vary, right? So that is something that we have to keep in mind. Can we use the concept that sum of last two digits is sum of even digits 2, so not divisible by 2, hence not divisible by 4? You can use the concept, but again, I would want you to take into consideration all the cases that we have over here, right? There can be multiple cases over here, right? So we'll have to check all of that. Okay, with that, let me hide out the poll. Let me get you the poll for the next question. Question number 3, we are going into 4 answer choices question. Please mark us still solving. Okay, 43 people. Let's go to 50 very quickly. 48. Need 2 more. Perfect. I have my 50 people over here. Let's go to question number 3. All the best for this one. All right, last 5 seconds for this one, guys. Let's take 5 more seconds. Mark the answer. Okay, I'm going to end the poll in another 2, 1, 0. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Let me broadcast the results. So 78% if you tell me that the answer for this question is choice C, that is the number that ends with 896. Absolutely correct. Now, what is the question asking me? The question asks you what is the number closest to this bigger number that is a multiple of 8, or essentially that's divisible by 8. I'm going to reopen the poll, short answer poll, tell me what's the divisibility rule for 8. What is that rule that I'm talking about? Absolutely correct. The last 3 digits, they should be divisible by 8, right? Absolutely correct. Okay. So that's the concept over here. We'll see, look at the last 3 digits. So we're not going to consider this big number over here. Okay. So what are the last 3 digits? 8, 9, and 7. Now I know that 8, 9, and 7 can be written as 800, which is a multiple of 8, plus 96, again a multiple of 8, plus 1, right? So essentially, if I divide 897 by 8, I get a remainder of 1. Okay, so what are the two closest numbers which are divisible by 8? I can either subtract 1 because I get a remainder of 1, so I can subtract the remainder, or I can add the residual of the remainder, that is plus 7. In both these cases, I'll get a number that's divisible by 8. I need to find out the closest one, right? So I'll go with minus 1. So what's the minus 1 number with respect to this? A number that ends with 896. That's choice C, and that is the answer for this question. I hope it's clear to all of you. So with that, we'll now move on to slightly difficult questions. Slightly difficult. Again, please understand that these are warm-up questions, right? So I'm going to open the poll, and kindly please mark as still solving over here. And yes, at any point in time, if you have any question, any doubt, do let me know. I'll help you out with that. I don't want you people to carry a question when you go back to your home, right? So please make sure you get cleared you are clear on everything that we are covering over here. Okay, I have 36 people. Why is the number dropping? Guys, please mark still solving very quickly so that I can give you the next question. And let's do this a bit proactively from the next time, please. So 41 people, I need 9 more. 43, 44, 5, 7. And I'm going to do this, till the point in time I get 50 people. Okay, I have my 50 people. Thank you, all of you. Let me now take you to question number 4. All the best for this one. All right, last 3 seconds for this question, guys. If you have not marked the answer, please do so. 3 more seconds. 2, 1, 0. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to broadcast the results. So 69% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice D. A fair share, absolutely balanced out on 5 people marking each of A, B, and C. That's really good to see. Okay, now very, very quickly, how many of you took a random number and then solved out this question? Mark a yes. How many of you took a number and solved out this question? Mark a yes. Because I know it has to be, if you people are marking correctly, it has to be around that 60 to 70%. Okay, it's around that 60% dropping off. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. So let's see. It's a 55 versus 45 or 57 versus 43. That is fine. Okay, so I'm really glad to see that some of you have not used that approach. So that's very good to see. Okay, now let's understand this question. Now, what is the question asking me? If a number n is leaves a remainder of 3 when divided by 204, what is the remainder when n is divided by 4? Now, through this question, I am going to teach you, or make sure that you learn a new concept if you have not been following it for some time now. This is something that we have been taught right at our childhoods, which is the value of dividend is always equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. Now, this is the concept that we would be using in this question. Now, dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. Always remember that the remainder is always less than the divisor, right? What is the divisor over here? It's equal to 4. So R has to be less than 4. This is one very important constraint that we have. Now, if a number n leaves a remainder of 9 when divided by 204, so in what way can I write this number? I can write n to be equal to 204, which is the divisor, times q, which is the quotient. I've assumed the quotient to be equal to q, plus 3 because this is the remainder that's given in the question. Now, I need to find out the remainder when n is divided by 4, right? Now, so n is equal to 4 times p. Again, 4 is the divisor, p is the quotient that I've assumed for this, and r is the remainder. The only thing that I need to keep in mind is if r is less than 4, I have my answer. That's where I'm targeting to go, right? Now, these two equations that you can see over here, these two, the left hand side of both these equations are same, right? Both of them have an n on their left hand sides. So what I'm going to use is the process Scalar visualization. I'm going to visualize how can I write the right hand side for the first equation in terms of the right hand side of the second equation. That's how I'm going to write it. So I need to write 204q plus 3 in terms of 4p plus r. And what I can see over here is 3 is not divisible by 4, right? So let me leave that alone. 204 is a number that's divisible by 4. If I divide 204q by 4, then if I take the value of p to be equal to 51q, then I can write n to be equal to 4 times p plus r. Now, what is the reason I'm doing this? It's a lengthy approach. Again, I know this. It's something that's a bit more convoluted than the approaches that you might be using right now. But once you understand this in and out, those questions that we had towards the end, they become very, very easy for all of you. So what I want you to know is you try to visualize and then correlate these two equations. Now, when I get this, what I get n is equal to 4 times q plus 3. It's in this format that I wanted it to be, right? Is the value of r less than 4? Yes, it is less than 4. What did I tell you people right at the start? If it is, the answer is the same number. So since the value of r is less than 4, the answer for this question is 3, which is choice D. Right? I'm going to do this again so that you understand it in and out. I have n to be equal to 205q plus 3. I need to write n in the form of 4p plus r, where r is less than the divisor. The moment I get this, I'll reach the final answer. So I try to write 204q in terms of 4 times p. Because again, 3 is a number that cannot be divided by 4, so I'm not taking that into consideration. Had this been 5, let's say, I would have taken this, because again, this is a number that is divisible by 5, right? That leaves a remainder when divided by 5. So I write the first part in terms of 4 times p, then I get the value of p, not that much required. I'm looking for q, I'm looking for r. So n can be written in terms of 4p plus r. That is my answer. It's a slightly difficult concept. It'll take you around 5-10 minutes, a couple of more questions, but trust me, after you completely learn this topic, questions would become very, very easy for you, right? So with that, I'll move on to question number 5. We'll try to use this approach itself in the next question. Let me clear all the answers, reopen the poll. Can you please mark as still solving for me? That is perfect. Let's now move to question number 5. All the best for this one. All right, last 3 seconds to mark your answer. If you've not marked it, please do so. 2, 1, 0. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. So 75% if you tell me that the answer for this question is choice A, that's absolutely correct. 8% if you tell me it's choice D. Now, I'm happy for you people. Why? Because you followed the approach. I know where you went wrong, but you have followed the approach. And that is something that I'm happy with. Okay, so with that, let's discuss the solution. Now, if a number n leaves a remainder 6 when divided by 205, I'm going to open the short answer poll. Tell me, how can I write n as? Please use the short answer poll to help me understand how do I write n as. Leaves a remainder of 6 when divided by 205. Absolutely correct. N can be written as 205q plus 6, right? 205q plus 6. Absolutely correct. N can be written as 205q plus 6. Okay. Let me write that out very quickly. 205q plus 6. Now, what is the remainder when n is divided by 5? I'm going to very quickly clear all the answers. Can you tell me this? How do I write n as? How do I write n as? If I am writing n, I'm trying to find a remainder when n is divided by 5. It's 5p plus r, right? Or 5p or 5 m plus r, whatever. Yes. Then I'm trying to write n to be equal to 5p plus r. And forget this, just don't go to my handwriting. I don't have my pen today. Okay, so absolutely correct. Your learning is spot on. Now let's move into the answer. Now I know that dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. You've already told me that n can be written as 205q plus 6. N can also be written as 5p plus r. One very important constraint over here is n is less than 5, right? Very, very important. R. I'm very, very sorry for that. R has to be less than 5, where R is the remainder. R is always less than the divisor. Okay, now what we do, we use the process skill of visualization and we try to compare these two parts over here. That's 205q plus 6 and 5p plus r. Now, Is 205q divisible by 5? Yes, it is, right? So how do I write that? If I take the value of p to be equal to 41q, the value of 205q can be written as 5 times 41q. So it can be written in terms of 5p. Okay. Can 6 be also written in terms of 5p? Yes. Right? Yes, I can. So basically, I'll get the value of 6 to be equal to r, right? I'll get it as 5p plus 6, and 6 can be the answer, which a few of you marked, but 6 is essentially incorrect. Why? Because always remember that the remainder is less than the divisor. So since 6 is lot less than 5, this cannot be the divisor. This cannot be the remainder. What do? We again divide this number over here, that is 6, by 5 to get to the final answer. So when I divide 6 by 5, the quotient is 1, the remainder is 1. Hence, I can finally write r to be equal to 1. To make all of this into one equation, I can write n to be equal to 5 times of p, where the value of p is equal to 41q plus 1 plus 1. So this is in the form of 5p plus 1. Is 1 less than 5? Yes, it is. So this is the answer for the question. Again, some of you might feel that it's a bit more lengthy. I just want you people to inculcate this learning, put this into your group of concepts that you have. Use this concept for the next coming questions. It will yield you very, very good results, right? With that, let's now move on to the next set of questions. And very quickly, let me clear all the answers over here and the poll. And now we'll move on to the next set of questions. We'll end warm up. Now, in this warm up, two very important things. We got to know that you have to make sure that your concept clarity is at that cent%. We rather say that keep that at 200% over there. Also understand that these are easy questions. If you're appearing for the GMAT, if you want a good GMAT quant score, the questions that you would be getting would be much more difficult than these ones. The application of the concepts are much more difficult. So please make sure you understand the concepts in and out. With that, let me give you one poll to understand how many questions did you get correct. So just give me one moment over here. Let me clear all the answers. Okay, can you please mark the answer for this question? How many warm-up questions did you get correct, guys? Okay, I can see 33% of you, or around that 1/3 percentage, is at that 5. Another 35 percentage, one third, around that 4, and that remaining 30 percentage, majority of which is around 3. So that is good. I want you to increase the accuracy in the next set of questions, right? There were 5 questions, Abhishek. So yes. Okay, so thank you for all of your answers. I'm going to hide the poll. Thank you for this. Let me now bring in the next question. And the next question is a very good question. Let me give you question number 1's poll. Just give me a moment over here. Will you open the poll? Okay, can you please mark a still solving, guys? The process remains same for these questions as well. I want you to mark a still solving. Once I get to that 50 people, I'll give you the next question. Perfect. It was very quick this time. Okay, so now let's move on to the next set of questions. These are problem solving questions around that 600, 650 level. All the best for the first one. All right, last 10 seconds to mark the answer for this one. Let's take 10 seconds to mark the answer for this one. Three, two, and 1. Now I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. Now 55% if you got this question correct, you tell me that the answer for this question is choice C. 11% tell me it's choice A. 10% if you tell me it's choice B. 10% with choice D. Now before I move on to this question, move into this question, I'm gonna bring in the yes no poll. I want you people to tell me, can the remainder be decimal at any point in time? Can the remainder be decimal at any point in time? It cannot be, right? So choice B and choice D are automatically rejected. Remainders cannot be in decimals, right? So that's something that we have over here. Thank you for all of your answers, guys. I'm gonna clear all the answers over here and the poll. Okay, let me clear all the answers. Okay, now the second question. How many of you did the math? By that I mean, how many of you calculated the value of m, which is equal to 8.2 times 30, and then calculated the remainder? How many of you did the math? And let's be very true to ourselves on this, because I want to understand your mindset to solve this question. Okay, that's 4-1. That's almost. I'm going to end the poll and let me show you. It's 78% versus 22%. So that the number of people who forgot or who let go of that approach that we learned in the last two questions is very, very high. To be very honest, this question can be solved out doing the math, but can all of these questions be solved? We will have to see. But again, I want all of you to use the same method. Again, your aversion for the method might cost you a few questions in the exam as well. That is the reason I'm strictly asking you, requesting you rather, to follow that approach. Trust me, it's going to be very, very easy. It'll help you out to understand questions in a much better format. How? We'll check that out. But before that, let me hide out the poll, clear all the answers, and open the poll over here. Okay, so what do I have over here? M is a positive integer. The value of m by 30 is equal to 8.2. I need to find out the remainder when m is divided by 15. Now, I'll use the concept of dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. Again, what is the constraint? The constraint is the remainder has to be less than the divisor. What's the divisor over here? 15. So R has to be less than 15. Now, m is equal to 8.2 times 30, right? So what I do is I divide 8.2 into two parts. One is the integral part, one is the fractional part. Now, when I divide that, what do I have? I have m is equal to 30 times 8 and 30 times 2. They're added together. I can also write m to be equal to 15 times p plus r, where r is the remainder. Keep this in mind. Okay. Now, I'll just visualize. I have 30 times 8 plus 6 over here. 30 times 2 means 6, right? So I have a 6 over here, and then I have 30 times 8. How do I write a 30 in terms of 15? I can write 30 in terms of 15 times 2. So 30 times 8 can be written as 15 times 2 times 8 plus 6. Now, in which format is this? This is in the format of 15p, where the value of p is equal to 2 times 2, 2 times 8 plus r, which is equal to 6. Now, is 6 less than 15? Yes, it is. Can I mark the answer? Yes, I can. So I directly move into the answer choices, mark choice C as the answer. Now, for this question, if you did the math, it's completely fine. But would your math work for all questions? We are going to find that out. But before that, I want all of you to embrace this method. I know it's something new. You don't wish to do it, but trust me, once you do that, things would become very easy for you. Okay, with that, let me bring you question number 2's poll. So here is the poll for question number 2. Can you please mark still solving very quickly? and then let me give you the second question. I have 39 people, need to get to 50. Okay, let's now move into question number 2. All the best for this one. Okay, last 5 seconds to mark the answer for this one, guys. If you've not marked it, please do so. 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and 0. I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. 81% if you tell me that the answer for this is choice C. Again, one very quick question. Can the answer be choice B or D? Mark a yes or a no. Can the answers be choice B or D? Never, right? Because I have decimals over here, so that cannot be the answer. Okay, thank you for all of your answers. I'm going to end the poll over here. The next question that I'm going to ask you, I'm sure that a lot of you might know, is, did you again do the math? Did you do the math again in this question? Let's see how the numbers change. That is perfect. So the numbers completely changed into questions, which I'm very happy. Now, the next target for me is to bring those 22% of population to the no zone over here for the next question. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Thank you for all of your answers, guys. I'm going to end the poll. Okay, thank you for all of your answers. Let me clear all the answers and reopen the poll for the later usage. Okay, so what do I have over here? I have m. M is a positive integer. M divided by 15 is equal to 8.2. You want me to calculate the remainder when m is divided by 30. All right, so again, we'll use the concept of dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. So m can be written as 30p plus r, where r has to be less than 30. That is the divisor. Okay, so again, I have 8.2. What I'll do is I'll divide 8.2 into 2 parts. One is 8, the other is 0.2. Now, what's m times, what's 15 times 8 and what's 15 times 0.2? Very easy to calculate. 15 times 0.2 is equal to 6, right? So essentially m times 8 can be written as, or let me go back over here. M times 8 can be written as 15 or 15 times 8, sorry, not m times 8. This is 15 times 8. I'm just taking it over here. And with that, I have 15 times 0.2, which is equal to 3. Okay, what do I need to write m as? I need to put that in the form of 30p plus r. How do I get 30 from a 15 and a 8? For a 30, I have a 15. I need a 2, right? So I need to divide this 8 to take out a 2 from it. How do I do that? I write 8 as 2 times 4. Now, the moment I do that, I have a 15 times 2. And how do I write a 15 times 2? That's equal to 30, right? So it can be written in the form of 30 times p plus r. Okay, is r less than 30? Yes, it is. Can this be the answer? Yes, it can be. So I directly mark choice C as the right answer for this question. The best thing over here is when it comes to difficult questions, guys, when it comes to difficult questions, this process is very, very helpful, Because the moment, so these numbers are fairly easy, not that difficult to calculate. The moment I give you 17.2, then the game starts becoming a bit more complex, right? So that is what I'm trying to avoid over here. So what we are doing in these questions is we are just leveraging the fact that numbers can be manipulated. 15 can be converted into a 30, 30 can be converted into 15, and so on. We'll use the same concept for the next question, question number 3. Let me bring that poll for you in a moment over here. Yes, we have the poll. Can you please mark us still solving for this one? Let's get to 50 people very, very quickly, and with that we'll move on to question number 3. I have 41. Let's get another 9 people very quickly. Okay, perfect. Let's now move to question number 3. All the best for this one, guys. All right, last 3 seconds to put your answers in the poll. Another 3 seconds, that's it. 2, 1, and 0. So I'm going to end the poll, broadcast the results. So what I can see over here is 61% of your marked choice E as the answer, 21% of your marked choice B as the answer. So let's look at the question and the answer. Again, one very important piece of question over here. Can A or C be the answer for this question, guys? Can A or C be the answer for this question? They cannot be, right? Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So thank you for all of your responses. Let me end the poll. Clear all the answers. Okay. Now let me try out my process again. I'm going to reopen the poll in a moment. I want you people to tell me how many of you did the math for this question as well. Let's see the numbers over here. How many of you did the math? That is, calculated the value of m, which is 15 times 9.2. Mark a yes if you have. Okay, I am going to end the poll. What I have is, again, 28 versus 72. So there are some folks who just don't want to get into that habit of that question. But again, guys, trust me, if this is 17, this is 13.2, things are going to be very, very rough if you are planning to calculate, because that's not at all sustainable, right? So please take a note of this. Okay, so with that, let me hide out the poll, clear all the answers, and you put it for the next usage. Okay, so what do I have over here? I have m is a positive integer. M by 15 is equal to 9.2. What is the remainder when m is divided by 30? Again, we'll do the same step over here. So m is 15 times 9.2, and I know that I need to write m in terms of 30p plus r, where r is less than the divisor, which is equal to 30 over here. So 9.2 divided in two parts. One is 15 times 0.2, that will yield a 3. One is 15 times 9. Okay, so what do I have? 15 times 9. I need to convert 15 times 9 into 30. So what do I have over here? I have a 3 from 15 times 0.2. From 15 times 9, I need to convert this into 30p, right? The challenge over here is to make a 15 turn to a 30, I need a 2. So I need an even number. But the number that I have with 15 is an odd number. So what do? I convert this number into even plus odd. So what I do over here is I convert 9 into 8 plus 1. Now that I have an 8, turning that 15 times 8 into 30p becomes very, very easy. So I have a 15 times 8, then I have 15 times 1 plus 3. 15 times 1 plus 3 is nothing but 18 over here, right? It's equal to 18. And 15 times 8 is nothing but 15 times 2 times 4. So this is while I'm trying to form that 30 over here. So this is in the form of 30 times 4. So I have now in the form of, I have the equation in the form of 30p plus r. Is the value of r less than 30? Yes, it is. Can it be the answer? Yes, it can be. So directly marking choice E for this. Again, just few manipulative tricks to convert odd into evens, 15 to 30s, 13 to 15s, and all of that. That is something that we learned, and obviously the basic concept that we have over here, which is dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. So two very, very important things. I want you people to keep that in mind. What if the option also has a 6? So Shivam asks me this question. Even if the option has a 6, that's not the answer, right? Because the answer is equal to 18. I don't get why would 6 make any difference, Shivam, if you could help me with your thinking process over here. Okay, Shubham tells me, why can I not write this as 30 times 4.5? I cannot write this as 30 times 4.5 because 4.5 is never a quotient. A quotient needs to be a remainder, right? So I have to, a quotient needs to be an integer, right? So I have to convert the quotient. I can 4.5 is not an integer, so I cannot take that as my quotient over here. I hope that clears your answer, Shubham. Explain the last part. I'll do it again very quickly. I have a 15 times 9 plus 3, right? So 15 times 9 I need to convert into a 30. How do I convert 15 into 30? I need a 2. I need a new even number for that. So I write 9 in terms of 8 plus 1. When I do that, I get 15 times 1 and 3, and then I have 15 times 8. Now 15 times 8 can be written in the form of 30p. 15 times 1 is 15 plus 3 is equal to 18. So this entire equation can be written in the form of 30p plus r. R is less than 30. That is the answer directly. We can mark that out. I hope Nish, it's clear to you, right? Okay, so with that, let me now bring in. We'll go to the next set of questions, and just give me a moment over here. Clear all the answers and head out the poll. Okay, so with that, now let's understand what did we do in these 3 questions. How did we manipulate using the same concept of dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder? How did we manipulate? One is we had 30 times 8, needed to convert that into 15. So to convert a 30 to a 15, take out a 2 from 30, right? You write 30 to be as 15 times 2. In the second question, I had a 15 times 8 needed to convert into a 30. To convert a 15 into a 30, take a 2 from this number to create a 30. In the last question, we had 15 times 9, which is an odd number. We had to convert that into 30. I know that to convert a 15 into 30, I need an even part. So I changed the 9 over here into an even number plus 1. Since I have an even number, taking a 2 from this even number becomes easy. I get a 30 from the 15 that I have over here. So slight manipulative actions that we used in these 3 questions. No calculations, because again, keep that in mind. If you calculate, in case there are difficult numbers, and the calculation fails, it ends up taking a lot of time. There might be some calculation error. I don't want you to fall into that trap. So please make sure you follow this process. Okay, so with that, We'll now move on to the next part of the webinar. The next part is very, very interesting, right? We'll move on to some good questions over here. And before I move into those questions, I'm going to ask you a few questions and give you a very good clarity on a concept that I have brought for you today. Now, let me tell you, or let me rather give you two options over here, right? And let me also bring in the yes/no board. Okay, let me give you two options. Let's say I have two numbers, 31 and 43. I am asked to calculate the remainder when the sum of these two numbers is divisible by is divided by 7. That's the question. Now there can be two processes for this one. You can either, calculate the sum, that is 31 plus 43, which is equal to 74, and then calculate the remainder by dividing the sum by 7. So 74 by 7, you then get to the answer. That's my one approach. The second approach is you calculate the remainder for 31. What is the remainder when I divide 31 by 7? You do the same for 43. What is the remainder when I divide 43 by 7? So when you divide this by 7, you get a remainder of 3. When I divide 43 by 7, you get a remainder of 1. Since in the initial question stem, I have a plus sign, I have an addition sign between these two numbers, I need to add both these numbers as well, right? I need to add both these numbers as well. Okay, now, so 3 plus 4, 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. The same answer is gotten from the first sequence as well. In this situation, both the sequences look fine to me. I don't have a problem. But what if I change the positive sign into a multiplication sign? Tell me. So let me first give you the idea of what would be the solution. I calculate the value of a remainder through the first process. What is that? I calculate the product first and then do the remainder. Calculating the product is some task, right? The second process is you calculate the individual remainder. So you know that 3 is the remainder when I divide 31 by 7. 1 is the remainder when I divide 43 by 7. Since the initial sign in the question is a multiplication sign, I need to multiply both these remainders to get to the final answer. Now tell me, for the second question, which sequence works better? Sequence 1 or sequence 2? You can mark the answer in the short answer poll. I've opened that for you. Definitely sequence 2, right? Absolutely correct. Why? Because I don't want to get into this product, finding the product thing over here. It'll take up a lot of time. I might make a mistake as well. So this is something that I want you people to keep in mind. So there can be two possible ways to calculate remainders when I'm adding, I'm subtracting, I'm multiplying numbers. So keep both these sequences in your mind. With that, let me now move on to the next part. Okay, so now let's move on to the next part. So again, the same thing. This happens due to I'm the concept that is dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. I'm just going to show you real quick how is this happening. So 31 is equal to 7 times 4 plus 3. 43 is equal to 7 times 6 plus 1. When I add these two numbers, guys, please notice that what do I have? I have 7 times 4, 7 times 6 plus 3 plus 1. So this can be written as 7 times 4 plus 6 plus 3 plus 1. 7k plus r, right? I'm writing this in the form of 7p plus r. What is the remainder? The remainder is equal to 4. The same thing in the multiplication part. What do I have? I have 31 and 43. If I multiply both of them, what do I have? 7 times 4 plus 3 times 7 times 6 plus 1. So to draw an analogy, understand this. What is the product of a plus b times c plus d? It's equal to ac plus ad times bc plus bd, right? So if I simplify this, what do I have? I have this times this, which is this number over here. I have 3 times this, which is this number over here. I have 7 times 4 into 1, which is this number, and lastly 3 times 1, which is this number. Now, in the first 3 numbers that you can see over here, there is a 7 common. So I'll take that 7 common, then I have some big number. I'm not interested in this number. Then at the end, I have a 3 as well. So this again can be written in the form of 7p plus r, where r is less than the divisor. that is the answer for this question. So this is the underlying concept of, why do the remainders work this way. If I calculate the individual remainders, or if I calculate the product, the remainder at the end has to be equal. The concept for this is the same that we learned over here, which is dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder, right? With that, now let me move on to the next question. Sorry for that. Let me give you the poll for question number 4 over here. The poll is live. Please mark a still solving. Let's get 50 people mark a still solving, and then we'll move on to the next question. Let's do this very quickly. I have 41 people. Need 9 more. Okay, perfect. So here I have question number 4 for you. All the best for this one, guys. All right, last 5 seconds. Last 5 seconds to mark your answer. Please do so if you have not done it yet. 3, 2, 1, and 0. I'm going to end the poll. And okay, first question in the short answer poll. Tell me, which sequence is better for this question? Sequence 1 or sequence 2? Definitely sequence 2, right? Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Now, how do I use sequence 2 over here? What is the question saying me? What is the remainder when 24 to the power 3 times 38 to the power 5 is divided by 3? Now, one very, very important thing before we move into the solution. I am going to ask you something very silly of me, but I'm still going to ask you to do this because this is an exercise that's really very, very important. Always consider the power, the exponent that you have. Always consider that once you have calculated the individual remainders, and always consider the powers at the end of the solution, right? Can you please write the same in the short answer poll? Always consider the exponent after you have calculated the remainder. Can you please write that in the short answer poll? I want you people to write that so that it stays in your head. I know it's very silly of me, but I just want you people to do this. Consider exponents at the end. Can you please write that out for me? Consider exponents at the end. Thanks a lot for this. Thanks a lot for this, guys. Now, this is going to help you. Trust me. This is going to help you. Okay, thanks a lot for doing this. And thanks for following even the silliest of asks that I have for you for today's session. Okay, now let's move on. I'm going to end the poll. Now let's move on to the next part of this question. Now, what is the remainder? I need to calculate the remainder. What did you write? I need to first calculate the remainder, then bring in the exponent. So what two numbers do I have? I have 24 and 38. Okay, so I have 24 and 38. What is the remainder when I divide 24 by 3? It's equal to 0. What is the remainder when I divide 38 by 3? The remainder is equal to 2. So 24 is completely divisible by 3. And also understand, since I've told you to bring in the exponent at the end. So what do I have over here? 0 to the power 3. Since in the question I have a multiplication sign, here as well I have a multiplication sign, and then 2 to the power 5. If I'm multiplying 0 with anything else, the product is always going to be 0, right? If the product is equal to 0, the remainder is equal to 0. So the answer for this question is choice A. Can you please mark a yes if the solution is clear to all of you? So two things that I need to keep in mind. First is bring in the power after you have calculated the individual remainders. So I've first calculated 0 and 2, that's the individual remainder. And then I'll apply sequence 2. What is sequence 2? Sequence 2 is very similar to calculating the remainders first, using the same symbol to calculate the last remainder over here. Ruchita asks me if it was addition, would the remainder be 2? Very good question, Ruchita. I'll come to those type of questions as well. I have that in my arsenal today. So I'll come to those kind of questions. Just be a bit more patient. I'll give you that question in another 10 minutes or so, right? Okay. So with that, thank you for all of your answers. I'm going to hide the poll, clear all the answers. And now let me bring you the poll for question number 5 very quickly. Okay, so I'm going to bring you the poll for question number 5. Let me give this over here. Reopen the poll. Can you please mark a still solving very quickly, guys? Still solving very quickly over here. Perfect. Let me give you question number 5. Okay, you already have question number 5, sorry. Yes, all the best for this one. All right, I'm going to end the poll in another 2 seconds. If you have not marked your answer, please do so. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Let me broadcast the results. Now, 79% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice C, which I guess is correct. Now, let's look at the solution. And I guess it was Ruchi. Ruchi, this question is something that you were asking for, right? So let's look at the question. And do let me know if it answers your questions that you had. Okay, what is the remainder when 25 times 38 whole cube is divided by 3? So very quickly, and I wrote the poll very quickly. Can you please tell me, okay, not this one, in the short answer poll only, which sequence would I use for this question? Which sequence do I use? Sequence 1 or sequence 2? I use sequence 2, right? Absolutely correct. I use sequence 2. Perfect. So I'm going to end the poll and let me clear all the answers, and just give me a moment over here. Okay, so what do I have over here? 25 times 38 whole to the power 3, right? That's what I'm having over here. What do? Exponents come at the last. I need to first calculate the remainder. So 25, when I divide 25 by 3, what is the remainder? The remainder is equal to 1. When I divide 38 by 3, what is the remainder? The remainder is equal to 2, right? So if I do this, what do I have? I have 1 times 2, and then I'll bring in the exponent. So the final remainder is 2. I have the exponent which is equal to 3. So 2 to the power 3 is the final remainder. Now 2 to the power 3 is equal to 8. Can I have the remainder to be equal to 8 if I'm dividing this by 3? No, I cannot. So I again have to divide 8 by 3 and see what's the final remainder. So I divide 8 by 3, I get the remainder to be equal to 2. Here I can mark the answer. The answer for this question is choice C. Right? So this is how we calculate for questions where I have remainders coming from both the numbers, or even if I have 3 numbers or 4 numbers in the product form, I first have to calculate the individual remainders, then bring in the exponent in the question to make sure I get the answer correctly and in the shortest amount of time. Again, I hope it's clear to all of you. If there's any question, do let me know. With that, now let's move on to a very interesting concept. And before we move on to that, 2 things. You can use both the sequences for both the questions over here, but please keep in mind that certain questions require certain sequences only because you save a lot of time. The calculation is very easy. Okay, now Manchit has a question for me. 2 questions for me. Let me answer both these questions. Fairly similar question. Here the exponent was fairly small. What is the exponent is large? This is what Shivam asks me. Manchit asks me, what is the remainder? What if the remainder is too big? That is 8 to the power 20. 2 things. There are infinite possibilities of ifs and buts, but would GMAT test me on that? No. Will GMAT test me on if I'm able to calculate the value of 17 to the power 17? No, GMAT doesn't test me on calculation. GMAT would test me if I'm smart enough to understand that there's a proper approach to do this question. So there might be chances that the exponent is high. In that case, we are moving into such kind of questions. And what do we do if the exponent is high, right? But something like 8 to the power 20, Manchit, to be very honest, is not asked in the GMAT. So you can skip that part. It's not that it's out of scope, I would say. That's something that we can not focus on as well. Okay, so let's now move on to the very interesting part that I have over here. That's the concept of negative remainders, and I want all of you to pay very good attention because negative remainders makes your life easy. So anything that makes your life easy, if you do not pay attention, you are going to miss on the good part over there, right? So please make sure you do that. Okay, so I know the fact that dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder, right? So what do I have over here? There can be 2 things. One is I calculate the remainder in the most normal approach. That is, 5 is equal to 2 times 2 plus 1. So the remainder is equal to 1. Or 8 is equal to 2, 9 is equal to 2 times 4 plus 1. Remainder is equal to 1. But there's another thing that I can do. Increase the exponent by 1. Increase the quotient by 1. If I do that, I get a negative remainder over here. Now, the concept of negative remainders is brought into questions to do 2 things. 1, simplify calculations for you. 2, make you take less time because the calculations are simplified right now. Okay, so How do I calculate negative remainders? I'll come to that, but before that, let me give you another example. So when I divide, let's say 8 by 3, one positive remainder is equal to the negative remainder is equal to minus 1. Now, how do I get negative remainders from positive remainders? Using this concept. Very, very important. Please note this down in your notebooks. The value of positive remainder is equal to the negative remainder plus the divisor. Now, let's consider the first case. What is the positive remainder? Plus 1. What is the divisor? 2. So, I have a 2 over here is equal to some number I do not know plus 2. So, we take the 2 into the left hand side. I get the value of this question mark to be equal to minus 1. This is my negative remainder. Okay, I have the positive remainder to be equal to 2. The divisor is equal to 3. How do I get negative remainder? Negative remainder is equal to positive remainder minus the divisor. So 2 minus 3, which is equal to minus 1. This is how I get to negative remainders from positive remainders, and also the vice versa is also true. Right? So if I have the negative remainder, let's say minus 1, the divisor equal to is, let's say 4, then the positive remainder would be equal to 3. So this is something that I want you people to keep a note of. Okay, how do I use this? I know the concept of negative remainder, but how do I use this? So now that you know negative remainders, let's first understand the constraints over this, and then we'll move on to questions to check out how do I use this. The major thing over here is negative remainders can never be the final answer. By the definition of remainders in mathematics, remainders always have to be a non-negative number. So they can either be 0 or they can be a positive number. They can never be a negative number. The concept of negative remainders is only to help you in the intermediate steps to make calculations easy for you. It is never to be marked as the final answer. Please keep that in mind, right? So with that, let's now move on to the next part. I'll bring in question number 6 and show you how to use negative remainders. But before that, I'll bring in the poll. Reopen the poll. Can you please mark as still solving for me over here? I'll give you the next question. And trust me, these questions are very interesting. Okay, I have 33 people, guys. Very quickly, please. I have 34 people. I need 50 people mark as still solving. Let's get to that 50 number very quickly. I'll give you the next question. Perfect. Let's move to question number 6. All the best for this one. Last 3 seconds to mark your answer, guys. Last 3 seconds. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Let me broadcast the results. So 85% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice D, that is 2. So very quickly, let's check. What is the remainder when 24 to the power 3 times 38 to the power 5 plus 17 to the power 7 is divided by 3, right? Okay. Now, let's see. Which sequence do you people want to solve this question through? Sequence 1 or sequence 2, guys? First, let me tell me that in the short answer poll. Sequence 1 or sequence 2? No, my personal favorite sequence 2 because it's always very easy, very honestly. I'll show you how, right? One is a bit difficult, you know, calculating 17 to the power 7 difficult, right? Sequence 1 even visible? Sequence 1 is visible for some questions, but not much. Feasible, yes, not much. Very good point over there. Okay, so what's the remainder when this is divided by 3? Okay, something that we have seen before, right? I get a remainder of 0 from 24. So the first term does not yield any remainder to me because I have a 24 and 24 is a multiple of 3. So nothing from part 1. The remainder from part 1 is equal to 0. Then what do I have? I have 17 to the power 7 whole to, divided by 3. I need to calculate the remainder for this. What's the process? Calculate for the number first, then bring in the exponent. So what is the remainder when I divide 17 by 3? It's either equal to plus 2 or equal to minus 1. Now, what would you calculate? Minus 1 to the power 7 or 2 to the power 7? What is a easier zone for you? Tell me this. What is an easier zone for you? What would you rather calculate? Minus 1 to the power 7 or 2 to the power 7? Mark your answer in the short answer poll. You can change your answer that you have over here, right? So that's not going to be difficult. I am going to calculate minus 1 to the power 7. Now 2 to the power 7 can still be calculated. What if I told you it's 2 to the power 17? Things become tough, right? I don't want to calculate 2 to the power 17 any day, right? Okay, so I have minus 1. Now this is how the concept of negative remainders help us. Since I never wanted to calculate 2 to the power 7, that will save me a lot of time. So I'll use minus 1 over here. Now minus 1 to the power an odd number. What does it return? It returns me a negative 1 over here. Now the final remainder is equal to minus 1. Can minus 1 be the answer? No. I need to convert the negative remainder into a positive remainder. How do I convert that? I simply add the divisor. What's the divisor? The divisor in the question is equal to 3. So minus 1 plus 3, that gives me 2. That is the answer for this question. Please mark a yes if the solution is clear to all of you. And this is the beauty of negative remainders, you know. The more you use negative remainders, the lesser the lesser you take time. It won't take time at all. And in case it's taking time, then you might be doing something incorrectly. I can so perfect. So I can see that all of you are clear with the approach. So that is very good. Thank you for all of your responses. Let me clear all the answers and put the poll over here. Okay, so I have a question from Disha. These questions are sub 600 level. These are not at all sub 600 level. It's because I'm teaching you the concept and that is the reason you're getting questions correct. But these questions have an accuracy of around that 55 to 60%. That means these questions are in that 650 to 700 level. So yes, that's there. Do such questions appear on the GMAT? Definitely yes. These questions are questions that appear on the GMAT. I hope, Disha, that answers your question. With that, I'll now move into question number 7. So let me bring in the poll for question number 7, reopen the poll. Can you please mark, and let me also clear all the answers. Can you please mark us still solving over here? Okay, how did we choose minus 1 to be what you take to the power of 7 to? You divide. So what did I have over here? Let me get the let me give one very quick look. I have Anisha asking me this question. Okay, Anisha. So what do I have? I have 17 to the power 7 divided by 3. What do I tell you? I have told you, right? I always need to calculate the remainder first and then bring in the exponent. So there can be two type of remainders. One is a positive remainder, that's 2. One is a negative remainder, that's minus 1. Now then I have to bring in the remainder. So minus 1 to the power 7 or 2 to the power 7. What would you choose? Definitely minus 1 to the power 7 because this takes a lot less time, right? And that is the reason why we chose minus 1 and then brought in the power of 7. Anisha, is that clear to you? Please do let me know if that's clear to you. Perfect. That is perfect. I'll end the poll and clear all the answers from the short answer poll. Okay, I have your responses. Let me give you question number 7. All the best for this one, guys. All right. Last 3 seconds. If you've not marked your answer, please do so. That is perfect. I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. So 94% of you tell me that the answer for this question is 5. Wow. That is good. The accuracy is really very, very good. So what do we have over here? What is the remainder when 24 to the power 3 times 38 to the power 5 plus 17 to the power 7 is divided by 6? So that's what I have over here, right? So again, bring in the exponent after you've calculated the individual remainders. That's what we are going to follow over here. So 24 times 38. Again, I need to calculate the remainder for 24 and then 38. When I calculate the remainder for 24, I get a 0. So the entire first part yields me a remainder of equal to 0. Once that is done, let's now move on to the next part. 17 to the power 7 divided by 6. Now, what do? I calculate the remainder first. So if I calculate the remainder with 17 of 17 by 6, what do I have? I either have a 5 or have a minus 1. Now, what would I calculate? A 5 to the power 7 or a minus 1 to the power 7? I'm going to open the short answer poll now. Tell me, what are you more inclined to calculate? Minus 1 to the power 7 or 5 to the power 7? Definitely minus 1 to the power 7. Now minus 1 to the power an odd number gives me minus 1. Again, can this be the answer? No, I need to convert this into a positive remainder. How do I do that? I add the divisor. What is the divisor? It's equal to 6. Minus 1 plus 6, that is equal to 5. So this is how we do questions on these fronts. Now, very, very quickly, let me clear all the answers and bring in the yes no poll. Is the concept of negative remainders clear to all of you guys? Tell me very quickly. Is the concept of negative remainders clear to all of you? That is perfect. Okay. So again, so this is what we as well teach in our course, and that is for these questions are all brought from our course itself. So if you want to take a look, please do so. Now, what did we do over here in these two questions, question 6 and 7? We understood how do we use negative remainders. Now, it's very it's completely okay to process negative remainders because it first takes your calculation time, reduces that, and then your chances of getting the question wrong also decreases. But make sure you convert that negative remainder into positive remainder by adding the divisor to it, right? So that is something that's there. One other thing that I also want you people to understand is when k is divided by n is present inside k. What do I mean by this? If I say you 24 is divisible by 3, this essentially means that I have a 3 inside 24. So 24 can be written as 3 times 8, right? So I have to have that number inside my original number to make sure, or to say that my number is divisible by 3. So again, something that we would use in the next set of questions. With that, let me now tell you another thing, very important. If you want to take a look, I would recommend all of you to go and take a look at the Quant 2.0 trial. Now, I hope some of you have already gone through that. It's a complete learning experience, and I'll tell you how to go through the course. I've given the screenshot of the divisibility and remainders module over here. I want you to go through this part over here in your free trial. How do you do that? You first take the diagnostic quizzes, and I want you to experience this. First, take the diagnostic quizzes, you understand your starting score. Based on the diagnostic quiz results, you would be asked to do a few number of files over here. That is completely dependent upon what is your starting score. So learn what you need to learn, and then at the end, test yourself to understand what is your improvement from this diagnostic quiz to the practice files. A very adaptive learning platform which I want all of you to check out. Again, it has a lot of features over here, and we test you through various areas. So diagnostic quizzes, we test you through 234 questions. We test you if you learned the concepts properly or not with 462 questions, whether you are able to apply the processes or not with 431 questions, and lastly, whether you are able to solve GMAT style questions or not with these number of questions over here. So, this is completely a progressive learning. I want you to take a look at this and understand what are your weaker areas so that you can improve upon them. And again, if you do all these things, it would lead you to success, right? So for example, we had the most number of Q49 scorers over here, and also the most number of 700 plus reviews. That's almost 4 times of what others had in the same period of time. So yes, our students also speak the same for you. And in any case, if you want to talk to one of our strategy experts to understand this in a much better format, or to understand about how metrics track strategy and time for your GMAT prep, you can always book a call with one of our GMAT strategy experts. To do that, I'm sharing the link very quickly with you. You can just click on this link, and that will take you to a page where you can book a free call. This is only for students who are who are non-e-GMAT students. If you are an e-GMAT student, make sure you attend the onboarding session that we have on Thursdays and Fridays. If you do not have the link for that, kindly mail us at support@e-gmat.com. You can interact with a strategy expert in a one-to-one basis, right? So if you want to talk to one of us, please make sure you book, attend the onboarding sessions that we have for you. With that, now let's move on to the last leg of questions. The 3 questions that we started off with, I'm going to bring the same 3 questions. We'll do that one by one right now. So let me bring in question number 7 for you. Let me clear all the answers and reopen the poll. Bring question number 8, right? Just give me a moment over here. This is question number 8. Okay, I have question number 8. Can you please mark as still solving? Let me give you the question right then. I have 23 people. Let's get this number to around that 50-ish. All right, perfect. This is question number 8. All the best for this one, guys. All right, last 5 seconds to mark your answer. If you've not marked it, please do so. 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. Now, I'm going to reopen the poll and reopen the short answer poll. I want you people to tell me, like, guess it for me, right? Just put me an estimated approximate number. What do you think the accuracy for this question in the first term was? What was the accuracy for this question when we solved for the first time? Can you guess that number for me? Put that in the short answer poll. Let's see, what do you people feel? Less than 30%, 10, 20, okay. Let's get some more answers. This is interesting. 40, who's that? That's absolutely correct. So the accuracy for the first time for this question was 33%. And you can clearly see the accuracy for this question right now. It's 59%. So it's almost double of what we had. Again, felt easy, so confused? No, it's you don't have to be confused. You just have to be confident on your attempts. That's it. Okay, so let's end the poll over here. Clear all the answers. Thank you for all of your answers. So 59%, if you tell me that the answer for this question is choice A. Let's move into the answer and check the answer. What do I have? I have, what is the remainder when a positive integer p is divided by a positive integer m. So p and m both are positive integers. We have one simple constraint over here, that m is greater than 1. Okay, what do I need to find out? I need to find out when p is divided by m, what is the remainder. Now, no more information. So let's first move into the first statement. The value of p is given as m plus 1 whole to the power 8. Now, do you people remember what I wanted you people to write down? First the remainder, then the exponent. So we'll do the same thing over here. What do I have? When I divide p, which is equal to m plus 1 to the power 8 by m, I can write p by m to be equal to m plus 1 divided by m whole to the power 8. So I'm going to bring the part, that the exponent at the end. Let me first calculate m plus 1 by m. Now if I calculate m plus 1 by m, what do I have? I have m by m. I'm just simplifying this, and then I'm getting 1 by m. Now very quickly, I'm gonna open the short answer poll for all of you. What is the remainder when I divide m by m, guys? What is the remainder when I divide m by m? You can take a random example. Take m is equal to 2 or 4 or 6 or 5 or 7. It's equal to 0, right? Perfect. So the remainder that I get over here is equal to 0. Can you tell me, and let me clear all the answers. Can you tell me what is the remainder when 1 is divided by m, where m is greater than 1? Let's see for this one. M is greater than 1. Keep that in mind. What is the remainder when 1 is divided by m, which is greater than 1? It's always equal to 1. It's never 0 because m is greater than 1, right? You can take any number. For example, when 1 is divided by 2 or 1 is divided by 10, any such number, the remainder is always equal to 1. So what is the remainder when I divide m plus 1 by m? It's equal to 1. And then I bring in the coefficient, exponent over here, right? Okay, if I bring in the exponent, what's the exponent? It's equal to 8. 1 to the power 8 gives me 1. Do I get the final remainder? Yes, I do. So is the first statement sufficient? Yes, it is. So my answers can either be choice A or choice D. Is it clear up till this point? Please mark a yes if it is. I have 5 people who tell me it's not clear. I want all of those 5 people to put in the question that you have right in the short answer poll right now. Very quickly, please. And we'll do the same thing for the next set of questions as well. If you have a question, put that in the short answer poll right away so that I can answer them. How is 1 by m equal to 1? I'm calculating the remainder. Let me see who is this very quickly. Okay, row. So you ask me what is the remainder. So what I have over here is 1 by m, right? Now take any example. If m is greater than 1, that's what we were talking about, right, Rohit? So if m is greater than 1, for example, 2 or 10 or anything, if I divide 1 by 2, the remainder is always going to be 1, right? If I divide 1 by 10, all of the remainders is going to be 1, right? So that is how I get the value of 1 when I divide it by m. When you divide m plus 1 by m, the remainder is 1. Yes, that is because I just simplified this part over here, right? What do I have? M plus 1 by m. So you can simplify this, right? I get m plus m by m plus 1 by m. Since the denominator is same, I can take the denominator as m and the numerator becomes m plus 1. That is how I simplify. So m plus m, when I divide 2 by 2, 4 by 4, 10 by 10, 5 by 5, the remainder is always equal to 0. When I divide 1 by a number which is greater than 1, it's always equal to 1. Rohit, makes sense. Prashant, is that clear? Garima, is that clear? 1 by 10. Okay, if I'm dividing 1 with the number 10, divide 1 by 10, what is the remainder? The remainder is equal to 1, right? Okay, Garima, is that clear for you? Do let me know, please. Yes, replace m by any number. Thank you, Abhishek, for that comment. Yes, that's absolutely what I want you people to visualize. Just take few examples and that will help you understand. Right? Okay, perfect. All right, perfect. Now let me move on to the next part. What do I have in the next part? The next statement gives me the value of m. Do I have anything about p? No information on p. If I do not have the information on p, can I calculate the remainder? I cannot calculate the remainder, for which statement 2 is not sufficient. If statement 2 is not sufficient, then the answer for this question is choice A. So that is how we get the answer for this question. I hope it's clear to all of you. So with that, we'll now move on to question number 9. Again, keep these learnings very, very handy. We are doing something that we had learned in the previous questions only. I'm not bringing in anything new, right? Still solving, guys, very quickly, please. Let me give you the next question. I have 33 people. I need 17 more to give you the next question. Very, very quickly, please. All right. This is question 9 for you. All the best for this one. All right, last 10 seconds to mark the answer for this question. Let's take 10 seconds to mark the answer if you have not done so. Three, two, and one. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the research. So 52% if you tell me that the answer for this question is choice A, 21% if you tell me that it can be choice D as well. Okay, 16% between choices B and C, another 5% with choice E. So let's understand this question. N is a positive integer. What is the remainder when 38 to the power n square is divided by 13? All right, interesting. So I have 38 to the power n square. What is my concept? Always calculate the remainder first. What is the remainder when I divide 38 by 13? It is either -1 or 12. Now, tell me, I'm going to open the short answer poll. What would you rather calculate, -1 to the power n square or 12 to the power n square? And even before I asked that question, I was getting answers. So I'm very, very happy that you could understand what I'm trying to show you people. So I would always want to go into -1 to the power n square, right? Absolutely correct. So I'll take -1 to the power n square over here. Now, is this part clear to all of you? Just mark a yes because it's very important. Is this part clear to all of you? I've done nothing basically. I've just calculated the remainder when 38 to the power n square is divided by 30. Okay, perfect. Okay, let me hide out the poll, clear all the answers. Just give me one moment over here, please. Okay, so I have -1 to the power n square. Now there can be two possibilities. If n is odd, I have -1 to the power n square, which is also odd, right? -1 to the power odd always gives me a remainder of always gives me a result of -1. If the remainder is -1, what is the final remainder? It has to be turned into a positive remainder. How do I do that? I just add the divisor over here. What is the divisor? It's equal to 13, right? Okay, so the final answer would be 12 if n is odd. What if n is even? If n is even, n square is also even. -1 to the power an even number always is +1. So I now need to understand whether n is even or n is odd. That is it. I don't have anything else, right? If n is even number, remainder is 1, n is odd, remainder is 12. Perfectly, yes, that's absolutely correct. So what do I do right now? I move on to the statements. What is the first statement telling me? N is equal to 4k. Why? Because n leaves no remainder when divided by 4. So n is a multiple of 4. If n is a multiple of 4, it has to be an even number. I know that if n is an even number, the remainder is equal to +1. Is the first statement sufficient? Yes, it is. So the answer can be A or D. The next question. Root of n is only divisible by 1 on itself. And I'm going to clear all the answers from the short answer poll. Guys, tell me, what is that number that is only divisible by 1 on itself in number theory, number properties? What is that number called? Absolutely correct. It's a prime number, right? It's a prime number. Absolutely correct. Now, if it's a prime number, root of n has to be a prime number. That means n has to be a whole square of a prime number. If n is a whole square of a prime number, what are the possibilities? N can be 2 square or 3 square or 5 square or 7 square. Now I know that all prime numbers are odd except 2, which is even in nature. So from the second statement, n can either be even or odd, right? So can I get to the final answer? I cannot. So the second statement is not a sufficient statement. So see, what did I do in this question? I did not do a bunch of things. I first calculated the individual remainder. The question turned into a very simple case of even and odd n, right? The first statement gave me an even n, sufficient. The second statement could not tell me if it's even or odd, not sufficient. So the second statement is not sufficient. The first is. The answer for this question is choice A, which 47% of you got correct. Right? Is the solution clear to all of you? If there's any question, let me know right away so that I can help you out. Any question? I don't feel so because I've tried explaining it. It's the most simplest manner possible. Okay, that sounds perfect. So we'll now go to the last question. The last question is fairly difficult. So let me ask you, case 2 n is even again. Again, I'll very quickly do that. Root n is divisible by 1 in itself. That means root n is a prime number. If root n is a prime number, n has to be the whole square of a prime number. What are the prime numbers that we have? I have an even prime number, I have odd prime numbers. So n can be even or n can be odd. So my answer can be 12 or 1. I do not have one definite answer. If I do not have one definite answer, the second statement is an insufficient statement. I hope that's clear too. You let me very quickly check who is that. Dev and Devanshu, I hope this is clear to both of you. If square root of n is divisible by 1 itself, square root of c can be any number, prime or 1. Again, even in that case, even if it's 1, it's an odd number, right? So it's either even or it's odd, right? So that's something that I want you to understand. Okay, all right, perfect. With that, let's now move on to the next question. But before I move on to the next question, I want you to answer two very important things to me before I move on to the next question. Yes, and I need some clear space, so I'll just go over here to get some clear space. Don't look at the question right now. This is again question number 9. I don't want you to focus on that. So guys, as I told you, if 24 is divisible by 4, right? This is true, right? Because 24 contains a 4 in it. Now, what do I essentially mean by contain? When I write 24 in its prime factorization method, I have to make sure that 2 to the power 2 has to be inside it. Yes or no? Is this concept clear? If a number is divisible by some number, that number has to be inside that number. That number has to be inside that number. This is clear to all of you, right? All right, that is perfect. So let me now bring in question number 10's poll very quickly. Okay, I have the poll over here. Let me give you the poll. All right, I have the poll. Kindly mark as still solving very, very quickly so that we can move on to the last question. I have 31 people, 34 people, 36. Perfect. Okay, so question number 10 here on your screen. All the best for this one. All right, last 5 seconds. Last 5 seconds to mark the answers, guys. If you have not marked it, please do so. That is perfect. I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. So 43% if you tell me that the answer for this question is choice D. The other choices for A it's 10%, for C it's 10%, for E it's 10%, for B it's 17%. Okay, now let's move on to this question and see how do we solve this one out. So let me move on to the next part. Now, what is the remainder when 4m is divided by 16, where m is a positive integer greater than 1? So I need to find out what is the remainder when 4m is divided by 16, m is a positive integer greater than 1, right? So I can write 4m to be equal to 16q plus r. Again, the quotient is greater than or equal to 0 and the value of remainder is less than 16, which is can be 0 or greater and has to be lesser or equal to 15. We need to find out the value of r over here. So that's the question step. No, nothing more given. So we'll move on to the first statement. What is the first statement? The first statement tells us that m leaves a remainder of 4 when divided by 32 to the power 32. So m can be written in the form of 32 to the power 32k, that is the quotient, plus 4. This is the value of m. Now I need to find out the remainder for 4m. So let's first convert the m into a 4m. Rohit has a very interesting question. Can I divide 4 from both 4m and 16? Can I do that if I cancel out? Now, you can do that. That's not banned or something like that. You can do that. But again, you have to make sure at the end when you get the result, you multiply with the same number you divide with. Otherwise, the answer would be different. So whatever I cancel off needs to be multiplied at the end as well. Right? Okay, but yes, we'll not go into such confusion. We'll do it in the normal approach as well, Rohit. Okay, so 4m is equal to what? 4 times of what we have over here, right? Okay, that's equal to 4 times of 32 to the power 32k plus 4. Now, that is essentially what? 4 into 32 to the power 32k plus 4 times 4. Now, what is the value of 4 times 4? It's equal to 16. Now, I need to convert whatever I have in terms of 16q. I have a 4 over here. One is already 16, so I'm not considered about this. This is something that I already have. I need to convert what I have over here into a form of 16q. That would reach me to the answer. That will push me to the answer, right? So how do I get a 16 from 4? I have to get another 4. How do I get another 4? I take 132 out of this 32 to the power 32. So that becomes 32 times 32 to the power 31. Now, since I have a 32 right now, I can easily take out a 4 from here and then I can get a 16. Whatever remains after that can be treated as p, right? So I have 16p, then I have this 4 times 4, which is equal to 16, right? So I have 16 times p plus 1 plus 0. That is very similar of this form, which is equal to 16q plus r. Now, what is the value of r? The value of r is equal to 0. Hence, the remainder for the first part is equal to 0. I can calculate the remainder. That means the first statement is a sufficient statement to answer this question. I hope this is clear to all of you. Okay, now let's move on to the next part. The next part is something that I gave you the information before starting off this question, right? What was that information? If m3 is divisible by 16, that 16, which is equal to 2 to the power 4, 16 means 2 to the power 4, right, has to be present inside m cube. Now, I'll write m to be equal to 2 to the power a times p1 to the power b times p2 to the power c, where 2, p1, p2, all these are prime factors, and a, b, c are the exponents of these prime factors. Now, keep that in mind. If this is the value of m, what would be the value of m cube? M cube would be equal to 2 to the power 3a times whatever we have. Not that much interested in the other part. We're interested in the 2 to the power 3a part. Why? Because I know for m3 to be divisible by 16, m3 has to have a 2 to the power 4 inside it. So this 2 to the power 3a that I have over here, the 2 to the power 3a that I have over here has to be either equal to 2 to the power 4 or greater than 2 to the power 4, right? So the value of 3a has to be equal to 4 or greater than 4. Now this is something that I want you people to understand. Is this clear to all of you? Please mark a yes if it is. Quite some people. Okay, almost all of you tell me it's not clear. That's not at all soothing to know. But okay, let's understand this again. I'm gonna end the poll right now. I'm gonna bring in the poll once more. Okay, I told you that for any number to be divisible by another number, that number has to be present inside that number. So I have to have 16, which is equal to 2 to the power 4 inside m cube. Okay, let me go step by step with this one. Is this clear to all of you? That 2 to the power 4 needs to be present in m to the power 3. Is this clear to all of you? Please mark a yes. I'll reopen the poll. Okay, this is clear. Perfect. That is perfect for me. Anyone who says, guys, I have told you this before as well. If a number is divisible by another number, it has to be inside that number. Please check out that recording for that part over there. Okay, I'm going to clear all the answers and end the poll because I'm going to ask you another question. Now, if 2 to the power 4 is inside m cube, and I have taken m to be equal to 2 to the power a, where a is any number. I'm not that much concerned about a. This is something that I've assumed, right? M has to have a 2 to the power something, only then I'll have a 2 to the power 4 at a minimum with a, right? M cube, right? Now, if m cube is equal to 2 to the power 3a, this is what I've just cubed both the sides of this equation that I have over here. M is equal to 2 to the power f, cubed both the sides. I know that m to the power 3 has to have a 2 to the power 4. If I say that m to the power 3 has a 2 to the power 4 or a 2 to the power 5 or a 2 to the power 6 or anything that is greater than 2 to the power 4, that suffices my statement. Will I be correct? Yes or no? Will I be correct? Yes or no? Yes, right? Perfect. Perfect. Let me end the poll. Perfect. Thank you for all of your answers. Let me clear all the answers. Okay. Now that I have over here, so 2 to the power 3a either is equal to 2 to the power 4 or 2 to the power 5 or 2 to the power 6 or greater than that. So 2 to the power 3a, if I compare that with 2 to the power 4 or 5 or 6, the bases are same. Let me only compare the exponent then. Then the value of 3a is either 4 or more or 5 or 6. So either 4 or greater than equal to or greater than 4. Now is it clear to all of you? That is very good to know. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to end the poll right now. Thank you for all of your answers, guys. So 3a is either 4 or greater than 4. So what is the value of a? It's either 4 by 3 or greater than 4 by 3. Now, what is the value of 4 by 3? It's equal to 1.33 if you people remember, right? Now, you also know that the exponents that I have for these numbers a, b, c, I'm talking about this equation over here, they always have to be integral in nature, right? Exponents cannot be in decimals. So if this is something that has to be integral in nature, if that is something that has to be integral in nature, the minimum integer that's greater than 1.33 is 2. So the minimum value of a is 2, or a can take any number that's greater than 2, for example 3, 4, anything, but the minimum value is equal to 2. Okay, if the minimum value is equal to 2, what is the minimum value of m? In terms of this, I have 2 to the power 2 multiplied by something. Again, this can be 3 or 4 or 5. The exponent can be more than 2, but at a minimum is equal to 2. If at a minimum is equal to 2, the value of 4m at a minimum would contain this and the 4 that I'm multiplying with m. So that means, and then I have something, I'm not concerned that much about it. So 4m definitely has this 16 inside it. That means 4m can be written in terms of 16 cube. If I can do that, again 16 cube plus 0, if that's equal to 0, that essentially means my remainder is equal to 0, right? So this is how I calculate the answer for this question. Let me very quickly bring in the yes no poll, reopen this for all of you. Do you now understand? Is the solution now clear to all of you? I still see some people who has an issue. Very quickly put your question in the short answer poll, guys. Very, very quickly. What is that issue that you people have? In the short answer poll right now. Can you explain the last bit? Yes. You understood that the minimum value of A is equal to 2, correct? And let me very quickly check who is this. How do we know that A is not equal to 0? If A is equal to 0, then my value of m cube won't be divisible by 2. If A is equal to 0, m cube does not contain a 16 inside it, child. It has to have a value, it has to have some part of 2 in it, otherwise my number won't be divisible by 16, right? Okay, now let's come to the second query that I have. Shivam, okay, so you asked me the minimum value of A is equal to 2, you get this, right? Okay, if the minimum value of A is equal to 2, then I can put the value of A over here. The minimum value of m would be equal to 2 to the power 2 times something, 2 to the power 2 times something. The minimum value of 4m would be 2 to the power 2 times something times 4. This is a 4, this is a 4, which essentially translates to the 4m is 16 times something, which is equal to q. Is it now clear to you, Shivam? Perfect. That is perfect. That's very good to know. Okay, that is very good. So what I'll do is I'll just move on over here. Rohit has a question, P1 to the power 3b. We don't have that significance. Again, Rohit, because I'm not interested in understanding P1, P2. I'm interested in 16. That means I'm only interested in powers of 2, not interested in other part of that number. Again, that is brought just to explain that a prime factorized number is written in that format, right? It is m cube that has 16, not m. Yes, if m cube has 16, m has to have a 2 in it. Understand, if m is equal to 5, for example, would m cube have anything related to 2? No, right? Only if m has something related to 2, m cube would have something related to 2. This is an inference that you have to draw. If m does not contain a 2, how can m cube contain a 2? Right? So that is something that you have to keep that in mind. Okay, so with that, I come to the end of this question. All right, so with that, I come to the end of this question. It's very good to know that you people are now clear with all of your all the answers over here. Now, do you people think that Quant GMAT cannot be mastered? How many of you think? And let me bring in the yes no poll. And not in the yes no poll. Let's do this in the short answer poll only. From the first 3 questions, the accuracy in the first 3 questions till the last 3 questions, guys, what did you learn? Did you enjoy the session? In the short answer poll, I like a feedback from all of you. How was the session? Did you like the session? It's just too slow, I understand, but we have to make it slow. Again, it's not slow, it's with your speed, right? It's with your speed. I was just taking the amount of time that you take to solve a question. Again, I told you that I'm not going to time yourself, you are going to time yourself, right? That is perfect. Okay, that is really good to cover. Did this cover a small portion? It's a very good chunk, I would say, and that is something that I'll also go forward with. Now, GMAT Quant can be mastered. I want all of you to go to that free trial. I want you to look at concepts A, look at questions B, and I'm also going to share 2 more questions with all of you so that you can practice that over here. Now, as I told you, put in those good habits into your diet plan. Things would be easy to master. It's not going to be difficult at all. We had this example of Krish, and Krish is someone who was good in math, generic math. He was really good, but he still, faltered a lot. He could not get into that Q50, Q51 range, despite being really, really good in math. Then he understood that there is a proper approach to solve questions. If you do not use those approaches, things are going to be difficult. That is something that even I want you people to keep in mind. Leonardo was a South American, and he got a Wharton admit, by the way, scoring a Q49, but he was stuck at a Q45 despite solving a lot of questions and all of that. Now, why did he not? Why could he not, reach to his target score right at the start? Because he did not have a methodical approach. He used the methodical approach, tried to avoid mistakes that he was making again and again. He used the analytics of Scholaranium to understand what are his weak areas and then focused on them. Did selective revisions and then went on to score a Q49. Got admissions from Stern, Tepper, and Wharton. And if you can consider Wharton, Q45 not going to give you a call over there. Mazibar is something that is related to a lot of you. What I feel is a lot of you solve a lot of questions thinking that if you solve a lot of questions, you're essentially going to become very strong in maths. That's not at all the case over here. Mazibar solved a lot of questions from a lot of books, stuck at a Q30, which is around that 20th percentile. Then he understood that he needs to understand concepts, he needs to take learning progressively. Something that we had for this session. We started off with warm-up questions, then slightly difficult, then the most difficult questions in the session. Followed this process, understood, took the feedback, went on to score a Q45 within a very short amount of time. Guillermo, my favorite example, he was stuck. There were certain areas that he was not being able to, come out of. So stuck at a Q38, which is around that 38th percentile as well. He then focused on that progressive learning. How do you read Scholaranium data? How do you get into those weaker areas, improve on those weaker areas, and then essentially build upon that so that you get a good score. So you improve from a Q38 to a Q50 over here, gotten admits from Wharton as well. All right. So make sure that you understand this. It's very, very important that you adopt those good habits, something that you were not doing in the start of the webinar, right? So I want you people to just think on that, use those habits. Trust me on that. If you do that, things are going to become very, very easy for you. So please start doing this. And if you do this, it's very easy. It will turn very easy for all of you. Okay. What else do I have? Any other comment that I have over here? I'll share the PPT. Yes. So now let me share the PPT. And before that, in the PPT, I have two questions. I want all of you to solve these two questions. These are very, very interesting questions as well. Slightly difficult, around that 700 plus 11 only. Something that we saw in the last couple of questions or last three questions over here. So let me very, very quickly share the session PDF with all of you. This is the session PDF. You can click on the download button to download this. If you want to book a one-on-one call with one of our GMAT strategy experts, you can also do that. I'm going to share the link for all of you. This is the study plan link for all of you. Apart from that, if you want to know more about quant process skills and quant 2.0 course, you can use these two links to access that. With that, I'm ready to take any question that you people have. I'll be very happy to take them. Any question on quant, GMAT strategy, anything on that, please feel very free to ask me that question. I understand that two, three of you told me the session is a bit slow, but I understand. I was only giving you time which you required, right? So again, I have to go with the average flow of the session. That's something that I was doing. Okay, let me stop the recording.